How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Crypto Clout. We are, in fact, doing a Bitcoin giveaway on this channel, so if you would like to have a chance to win zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, all you have to do is make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with post notifications turned on, and, of course, make sure that you comment down below, including your Bitcoin wallet address, so if you are the lucky selected winner, you'll have a place to receive your winnings, and we will be announcing the winner on Friday, and you can also connect with us on Snapchat if you're more comfortable with sending us your information or getting into contact with us that way. Snapchat is now a valid option as well, so if you're interested, you could just screenshot and scan the Snapchat on the screen. But all that being said, today we were talking about the potential that's in store for one of my favorite cryptocurrencies. So first things first, can I get a joke about Lamborghinis in the comments section, please? Anyways, we're comparing Cardano to Ethereum, and in this context, we're really talking about smart contracts. We're really thinking about the way that cryptocurrency has been leading up until this point, and it's really difficult to imagine a world where Cardano could surpass Ethereum without taking into consideration the question of regulations. And of course, on top of that comes a multitude of different variables, and people who question this sort of potential for technology that's currently at 14 cents a pop, Cardano compared to something like Ethereum at 471. I think people lack imagination, or perhaps lack an understanding of the history of cryptocurrencies and exactly how much progress happened in such a short amount of time for technologies like Bitcoin. And the fact that cryptocurrency is a space that really in the future I'm going to make a prediction, pretty much a common sense one for people who understand what the space is all about. Cryptocurrency is really going to be $1 trillion space in the near future, and I think as this happens and this becomes more of a reality, we'll start to see those technologies that were at all-time highs and ultimately dominating at the end of 2017. I think people are starting to question exactly what's the difference between something realistically between the functionality of Cardano and Ethereum. Now, when you look at the Cardano roadmap, they are pretty much attempting and succeeding in doing a multitude of things that are very challenging to other cryptocurrencies, just based on the simple fact that Cardano is in a very advantageous position with a lot of flexibility and a lot of opportunities in terms of decision making. And I think that seeing names like Google paired side by side with Cardano is going to be a key significant variable, because it's really going to be necessary for Google to do some significant shifting in terms of how they brand themselves moving forward into the next stage of the internet, with things becoming so decentralized and cryptocurrencies essentially shaking things up. It's going to be an interesting ride as we see these old technology companies like Google that were essentially dominating for so long being challenged by simple innovation. And it's interesting to see how the free market is going to ultimately decide the result of what we're seeing happening right now. It's interesting sometimes to pay attention to the different news articles that relate to any particular cryptocurrency. When it comes to Cardano, it seems as if there's a trend lately for people to be talking about the potential for Cardano to be rising beyond the current position that it occupies in the number 8 position on the CoinMarketCap rating. And I really think that this possibility is developing as we see Cardano, the cryptocurrency, positioning themselves in a key strategic place moving forward. It is really interesting to see the different developments that are happening. I mean, you really have to take into consideration the fact that Bitcoin was essentially the introduction to cryptocurrencies when it comes to the public consciousness. People thought of Bitcoin as essentially digital gold, and then what we would term as the second generation of this sort of consciousness shift would be Ethereum, with the introduction of smart contracts. Now, when you take into consideration what exactly Cardano is attempting to do with their project. I think that it's very much the next generation of crypto. We're in the third wave of what cryptocurrencies have to offer in terms of functionality and the actual accessibility across the board on a multiple of different variables. So as we see, 2018 really hasn't been the greatest year for seeing all-time highs. However, I think that this is ultimately going to be playing into technologies like Cardano's favor, because at the end of 2017, we were seeing things like Ethereum really dominating the space, coming off of a wave of basically when the public, a lot of people were new to cryptocurrency. Now, obviously, there's plenty of us who've been involved with cryptocurrency for multiple years, but we really we can't fool ourselves. There are people who are new to this space every single day who are hearing about these things, and ultimately it's a very fragile reputation that's held by the cryptocurrency space in general. So when we see Bitcoin so close to $5,000, like it has been a pretty rocky road these past couple of weeks, it really does challenge the overall reputation that was developed by cryptocurrency as a space in 2017 when crypto was at its all-time highs. Now, this reputation is a pretty fragile one, but ultimately I think this does lend to a similar idea that I'm trying to get at, which, I mean, the conversation of Cardano having potential to, overtake things like Ethereum, the fact that Cardano is really positioning itself in this way. I mean, I was looking at this different just people whose opinions, you really can't predict the price of Cardano. This person says, because when you really think about it, cryptocurrency is going to be a $1 trillion space, and right now we're dealing with the early stages of it. Where don't fool yourself. We are very early in the overall context of where cryptocurrency is going to be leading from here on out. So, as it currently stands, 268 might seem like a really big number, but I mean, there is a ton of potential for this to be a billions of dollars space as we move forward, and we see these. So there's a lot of potential for a lot of fluctuations and competition between the technologies, and I think Cardano is really one of the fundamental, next generation cryptocurrencies that's for certain on my list, and seeing where they might be going, overall in the competition and these different variables, especially by the year 2020, I would say that this is the time frame that I'm looking out for. But of course, remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. I'm not your dad. This is not financial advice. Of course, make sure you do your own research when it comes to these things. In particular, I'd recommend that you guys go and follow Cardano on their Twitter. And of course, if you guys are interested, you could also connect with us on our official Twitter as well. Twitter really is a great resource for, sharing information regarding these technologies and staying up to date on all the things happening in the crypto space. And ultimately, I think that it is interesting to see a real-time news feed of, the different developments that are happening. And it's pretty hard to miss big news when it is something that everybody's talking about. So, I think that, I'm not very much worried about the volatility that we've been seeing in the space up until this point. Obviously, the nature of the beast when it comes to cryptocurrency involves a great amount of volatility. And I think that ultimately it's going to play towards the favor of these up and coming cryptos that have already established themselves pretty well off. And I think Cardano is really front and center in that token as far as these different developments are taking place in the next few stages of the paradigm shift that we're currently seeing, with more people all around the world getting connected to the internet through smartphones and new smart devices, smart TVs in the form of the Internet of Things. It really is at the helm of a paradigm shift that's happening, that's going hand in hand with the expansion of these cryptocurrencies all happening at the same time. So it is going to be interesting to see how these developments manifest themselves in real time. So Google has taken an interest in Cardano, and I think that this relationship between Cardano and Google could really develop into something beautiful. When you pay attention to the Cardano, basically their plans for the future, and the timeline and so forth, I think as we see things continue to move forward, I mean, we're right in smack dab in the middle of 2018 at the time of making this video, and I think that there's really a lot of important things that are going to be happening in the years of 2019, 2020, and in particular 2021 that are really going to boost up these technologies that are positioning themselves in a really strategically important way as things continue to move forward. I think Cardano is essentially doing something that's unprecedented in the world of cryptocurrency, and of course this could either rise Cardano to the top, or it could take a little bit longer than expected, but ultimately long term I'm very much excited to see what's in store for this technology and how we're going to be seeing these various different developments happening over a short period of time. I would say that a short-term estimate for Cardano, we could definitely see it moving upward from where it is currently. I mean, it's at 13 cents at the time of making this video, but I really could easily see Cardano at 25 cents by the end of 2018, even more, because when you take into consideration where Cardano is headed, I mean, there are a lot of different things that we need to pay attention to, but the way that the community is headed and the way that the overall public consciousness is shifting in a way that's going hand in hand with the cryptocurrency paradigm shift, Cardano is definitely one of those technologies that's really aware of where things are headed and how we're going to be looking at a completely different environment years from now, and that's really going to essentially be playing into Cardano's favor as things continue to move forward. So seeing Cardano and Google, their names together, I really think it has potential to be a really, really big move as things continue to move forward. So I'm definitely looking excited for that.